Welcome to Urban Fantasy PH. We are creatives who live in an urban society and give readers wish fulfillment by way of our stories, which is fantasy but reflective of reality. Here, we get to talk to fellow creatives like writers, authors, artists, comic book creators, filmmakers, you name it. We create and share our art here in the Philippines as well as abroad. My name is CJ Edmunds, I'm your host, and here is today's episode. Good morning, and welcome back to another episode of Urban Fantasy PH, or better yet, the first episode of a brand new season. Yeah, it's already our third season, and because it is Pride Month, our entire season and episodes will be full of that for sure. That means we will be showcasing content and creatives who have prided themselves in their work as it aims to change and elevate the landscape for LGBTQIA plus readers as well as creatives. Now, just in case you forgot, or this is your first time to listen to us or watch us, our show is aired every Wednesday, both for Spotify and on my YouTube channel. So if you want to simply listen to us, you can do that, or watch us on YouTube. That choice is yours. Now, today on the show, I'm excited to have on board the author and illustrator of the queer fantasy webcomic Jowa Kong Crosswise. Now, his passion about storytelling, especially through visual media, is very much apparent in his work, and the themes of his work would revolve around queer issues, mental health, fantasy, and folklore, as well as pop culture. Who doesn't love a bit of pop culture? Let's all welcome Tsambi Tsambolero to the podcast. Woo-hoo! Good morning, Tsambi.
Hi, good morning. Good morning, everyone.
Hi, and welcome to Urban Fantasy PH. Thank you for being the first guest in our series of Pride episodes in the month
Yeah,
of June.
and thank you for having me.
Oh,
Happy to be
always a
here.
pleasure. Thank you. Thank you. Always a pleasure. Creatives always have a choice. I mean, what to write, what to draw, what to espouse as part of their prose, and also how to name themselves. So curious, how did you come to be called Chambi?
Um, well, it's ano ba? I started kasi not exactly in art Twitter. Like I just made like a Stan account Twitter.
Okay. All right. All
If
right.
if you're familiar with Stan culture,
Yeah.
I was this was during the onset of the lockdown of the pandemic. So like I wasn't really doing anything but watch like BL and stuff.
Right.
So
Aren't we all?
yeah. And I know I didn't have anybody to talk to because like my friends were like interested in different things.
Okay.
So I made a Stan Twitter uh called Chambolero.
All right. Okay.
Because I know I merged the words chamba and bolero. It's kind of like pretty arbitrary. There's really no rhyme or reason to it. I just thought it was witty. And ayun, that name kind of stuck.
Uh huh.
And then when I transitioned from a Stan Twitter account to an art account, like I kept the name because that's how people knew me as online.
Yeah.
So
Okay. Is that Twitter account still ongoing? I mean, or did you disable that already?
it's the same Twitter account that I have right now. So
Okay.
if you search like the archive posts, you might be shocked.
We'll find it. Okay, okay. Well, we'll share
Yeah.
that later on. But yeah,
Oh
yeah, not
God.
to...
Yeah. Anyway, there's some like yeah, pretty intense fanboy stuff there. If you know, you look it
Okay,
up.
we will check it out. That's for sure. And
Oh,
of course,
please
since
no.
Tambolero is the account that you had,
Yeah.
it does sound off. It could be a last name, and that's why you probably had to pair it with an appropriate first name, right?
No, no. It's just a mononym like Madonna or like Seal or
Okay.
Common.
All right, all right. Okay,
Yeah.
artists will always have that. I agree, I
Yeah.
agree. And curious, was that probably the first name that you chose as an artist, or were there other names for you to choose from when you were starting off as that,
Um,
prior to being a Stan account?
I think that was the first, and
Okay.
I didn't really like make it hard for me or for anybody who already knew me by Chambi. So like you know what, let's just transition into an
Just
art
roll with
account.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just
just
roll with
roll
it.
with
Yeah,
it. Okay,
yeah.
all right. Speaking of first, your web comic on Jowa Kong Crosswise has gained so much popularity and readership, and congrats for that.
Thank
I was
you.
wondering, would this be the first web comic that you've ever created, or were there others before this, and it just happened that this was the one that eventually took off?
This is also the first ever webcomic that I made.
Okay, great.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm pretty surprised at the like warm reception that it got, considering it I don't have a background in making webcomics prior to that. So yeah.
But did you have a background maybe in I don't know, maybe architecture or drawing or anything?
Yeah, I was a fine arts
Okay,
major in
all right.
college.
That's
So it's not a
okay.
pretty big jump from what I
Yeah,
did in
yeah.
college. Yeah.
It's still along with the veins of being creative.
Yeah.
And stupid $1,000 question: if you are not a fine arts graduate, can you still do a webcomic?
I think probably. Fun fact: fine arts was not my first major in college. I was
Oh,
actually
okay.
a geology student during my
All right. That's
first
that's far
year.
from where.
Yeah, it's very far. It's very far, but I think I've always had like an affinity for the arts. So
Mhm.
even if I didn't pursue fine arts in college, I still probably would draw every now and then.
Okay. Now,
Mhm.
for our international audience, the title of the webcomic may need a little transition. For starters, Joa means, significant other, which can either be a girlfriend or a boyfriend. But in the story's case, it's between two boys. And I don't want to deny you the fun to pitch to our audience what the title in the story is all about. So I leave the floor to you.
Okay, well, ano, ang Jowa Kong Crosswise is a very Filipino title. Like there's um international audiences might not exactly get the nuances of it, because like crosswise is an English word, but for Filipinos it has a very specific meaning, right?
Hmm.
Especially if you like grew up here and studied school here. So basically, crosswise is a type of pad paper that we use in like grade school or like high school to like take exams or
Right.
have quizzes on. It's roughly the size of a 5 by 7 postcard,
Hmm.
maybe a bit longer. So yeah, there's different kinds of pad paper also, like one hole lengthwise. So the reason why the comic is titled Ang Zohong Crosswise is because um one of the main characters, Tomas, is manananggal, and he has the ability to bisect himself at the
Hmm.
waist. So hence the name Crosswise. It's kind
Right.
of like a witty pun, whatever.
Yeah,
Is that-
it's both a reference to the pad paper.
yeah,
What our teachers would always say: take out pad paper, or the quiz is going to be on this sheet, but our answer should be written crosswise. So
Crosswise. Yeah,
that's one of that, and of course part of that is the manananggal aspect of one of the characters. Manananggal in a way is also it's like an umbrella term also, or is it the other way around? Aswang is also an umbrella
as
term
long
for
as the umbrella
manananggal,
term.
right?
Yeah.
So I'm curious about your decision and thought process in making Tomas a manananggal or aswang. Now, again, Chambi has explained that. A little sidebar info again for international audiences. An aswang, or manananggal in this case, is a creature of Philippine folklore that is normal during the day, but at night grows or has a big span of wings and separates itself from the lower half in order to prey on pregnant women with the sole purpose of feeding off that baby via their long forked tongue. So hence the title of the
Yeah.
webcomic and hence the visual. And I think you can get that. But there's no gore in this comic. There's just pure love, love, love all
Yeah,
throughout
it's
the
pretty
comic.
wholesome.
Yeah, it is very much.
Mhm.
And so going back to the story, was there ever again going back to the incarnations of the whole thing? Um, was Tomas always a manananggal from day one, or were you toying with the possibility that he could be a different creature of Philippine folklore.
I think sorry, I was pretty set on making him manananggal because I had this like um idea in my head, like
Mhm.
the first ever strip that I posted. I've had that idea in my head for a while, and I really wanted to execute it just as like a one-off, like short comic thing that I
Yeah.
wanted to post online. So yeah, I think Tomas has always been manananggal for me because I, apart from that, it's the potential for like storytelling and like jokes and like funny moments. I think um is really like high when you make one of your characters like a self-segmenting vampire.
Right, right, and that's what the creatures of Philippine folklore have been reduced to. They've been reduced to either becoming significant others or fodder for jokes. But if ever we meet one in real life,
Well,
that's going to be a different story altogether, and we can probably count on a different book for me altogether as well. Now, if the Europeans, if not, or rather most of the West, had vampires or Count Dracula, we, on the other hand, had Aswang, Manananggal, Tik-Tik, and so other creatures. I was wondering, what do you think is the appeal of that particular creature in folklore, and why do creatives like you, such as yourself, continue to create stories about them, or if not, at least use them as basis to propel your story forward?
um, I think there's just this general fascination with um Philippine folkloric creatures because they're not really um portrayed as much in popular media. I mean, of course, we have quite a few movies and TV shows that we have here who feature these characters, but in terms of like globally in the global scale, these creatures are still pretty much unknown.
Yeah,
Until like I think 2 years ago with Trece being released on Netflix. I
right.
think that was
On Netflix,
yeah, that was a pretty big thing for us.
exactly.
So
Oh, and
yeah,
also they featured an aswang
they did.
on the NBC show called
No.
Grimm. I don't know if you've tried
Yeah, yeah,
watching
yeah,
Grimm.
yeah.
I love Grimm. That's like my go-to show, apart from Charmed and Buffy, of course.
Mm.
But yeah, I was happy that they got to feature that, and they don't call it aswang; they call it azwang. It's like, okay, there's has to
Swan.
kailangan may konting arte when you say it, ganun ba yun? So
Yeah.
so that was, that was fun that that they included that, and it's like, yay, representation. Even if it's a creature of folklore, but
Yeah, proud
it's,
to be Pinoy.
I know we'll take it nonetheless,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And the episodes that you get to work on, that you release so far, would be like day-to-day activities for both Tomas and also for Leo, or Leo if you are here in
Well,
the Philippines.
we're Pinoy, so it's Leo.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And but there was an episode there called The Hunger. Now, for those who already read that particular episodes, your questions for sure have already been answered, and I don't want to spoil anything away. Just to say that it was a detailed and hot episode. Now, I was wondering how easy or challenging was it to draw and write that episode, knowing that there was a line that you cannot cross in making the scenes too detailed. I mean, if you know what I mean.
Mm. Um, I think that particular episode was very challenging because there's a lot of like emotional weight to it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Like
Where's my
the the way I write it always comes from a real place.
okay?
So when I wrote that, I had to like tap into like a really like deep memory, and
Mm-hmm.
not like exactly like quote it verbatim, but like the inspiration was very much real for me.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So it was like when I was making that episode, I think it took me like a whole week because
I can imagine. I can imagine. I'm opening it right now just to kind of like refresh my memory.
yeah, yeah, because the process for making that episode, I think, was like 80% just staring at my ceiling, and then 20% actually writing and drawing. So yeah, it there's a lot of like vuelo. I don't know how to translate that in English, but I had
I guess maybe the closest thing that I can think about is getting your second wind, something like that. Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
like I had to like gather the energy first before I actually started doing it.
Mm-hmm,
So
mm-hmm.
the gathering part took uh much of the time.
Much of the time, for sure, for sure. It's
Yeah.
part of research. Have you gotten, or what kind of feedback have you gotten from that particular episode?
Um I actually like have gotten like a few DMs on Twitter from readers saying that it really touched them and it really resonated with them because I think it's kind of ano din eh, well, I'm not sure if like you guys have already picked up on it, but it's kind of a metaphor also for mental health problems.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that is something that is universal to us. Everybody goes through a hard time. Everybody's going through something, and it's important that we always know and we're always aware that there are people in our lives that we can always turn to whenever we go through these things.
Right, and if you are ever in need of of multitasking, just ask a manananggal to help you out because
Yeah, exactly.
they will be more than happy to do that. So you just need to look for someone like Tomas.
Yeah, yeah,
I suppose in a way that's also your cue to make more episodes of that similar scenario. Should you decide to, right? It's
yeah. I did a couple more like a bit like serious, more like a bit heavy episodes after that. Like I'm not sure if you've also read the Bakunawa episodes. That was more about ano naman Leo and his struggle. But yeah,
Ooh,
the
wait. I think I missed out on that one on the Bakunawa episodes. Well, I've read through up until 27
mhm.
and the very first volumes. But would that be in the later volumes? The
It's
Bakunawa episode?
yeah, it's in the um newer editions.
Ah, okay, okay. So I have to be more updated in my reading, but I'll have more time for that. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So how do you plan out your episodes? Is that like um once per month or two per month, or do you at times go by what you feel like on a given day?
Well, initially I was going by like whenever I felt like it. Like I'd make up an episode when the inspiration strikes me. But
Hmm.
upon serialization at Pen Lab, of course there had to be a schedule.
Yeah.
So we were posting an episode a week, and then
Okay.
when that got a bit
Too intense
too intense
and
for me
demanding
for
as well. Yeah.
for for a solo writer slash illustrator. We transitioned to an episode every 2 weeks.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's sort of
it's more manageable.
halfway point. Yes,
Yeah.
manageable. And this next question is for everyone else who has plans to make their own, or probably curious as to which one gets to be made first. Do you write the storyline or the story beats first, or do you just draw and imagine the scenario and then you make it up as you go along?
The story comes first, of course. I think before I draw, I have an idea of where my characters are gonna start and
Mm-hmm.
where they're gonna end.
All
So
right.
the challenge now is to fill in the gap between the beginning and the end, and how I want my characters to um arrive at their destination.
Okay. We're are they? I'm sure it's also part of the creative process when you start out mapping something, and then you decide, I'll not use it this time. I'll probably reserve that. So it's safe to say that there are, let's say, reserved stories that you want to get back to, and you're just not sure how to flesh them out.
Yeah, of course. I have quite a few in my notes app that have not yet seen the light of day, and I really wanna um do someday. But we'll see.
Yep. Fingers crossed that will be part of, I don't know, volume 4 or 5. Yeah,
We'll see about that.
we'll keep just keep training that out, and we'll just keep buying, and we will be good to go. But when you think about it, life is also pretty much the same. I mean, there's no one book or rule book to follow. We live as we go along. And since it's Pride Month, and while it's great for people who already accepted who they are, I mean, there are still people who have not been, or not there yet. I mean, who have not had the chance to fully explore their avenues for themselves, or are still on their way to getting there. Would you remember how, and I leave this to you, how much you're willing to discuss, and you can share a little bit of your own coming out process.
Mm, I first came out when I was, I think, 14 or 15, to
Okay.
my to my high school teacher, to my advisor. I'm not really gonna get into the details of how
That's
I
okay.
arrived at that point.
Only whatever you're comfortable in sharing, but the gist will always
Yeah,
be
yeah, yeah.
still helpful.
Well, basically, I was kind of having a really bad time
Mm-hmm.
during that school year, and I think my advisor picked up on it, and she kind of just like took me to the side and talked to me and asked me if I was if I was okay, or if there was anything that I wanted to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm that advisor of mine was kind of like a motherly figure to me in high school. So you know how moms are, they pick up on that stuff
On certain
easy.
things, yeah,
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 yeah, they have that intuition, they have that mom sense.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
I guess she sensed that I had this like internal conflict in me. So that's when I told her, and that was the first time I came out. But I actually don't consider that my official coming out, because after I told her that, I still you know lived my life in the closet, and I didn't
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
like fully come out until after I graduated high school. That's when I came out to my mom, to my parents, to my family and friends.
mm-hmm,
But
mm-hmm.
yeah, if we're talking about the first time of me actually saying that I was queer, it had to be when I was in second year high school.
Second year high school. Okay,
Mhm.
but you will agree that before you come out to other people, of course, first and foremost, you need to be comfortable with your own skin, right? You have to
Yeah,
come out to yourself first before
yeah.
you start broadcasting to everyone else, because you know, uh, heaven forbid that there will be some people there who would say that, oh, I am this, and then after 2 years or so, it's like, oh, when you think about it, I'm not. So you just really have to be sure about yourself before you start saying anything, and that's really I guess the germination of any journey, whether it's coming out of the closet, or whether you're being comfortable with yourself saying that I am an artist, this is what I do for a living, this is how I make my living, and deal with it. Or
Yeah,
something like that.
yeah.
Um, if Also along that lines, I was wondering, would you be able to identify the biggest hurdle that you had to jump across in order to be, fully comfortable with yourself? I mean, it will be different for other people. For other people, it might be family. For other people, it might be friends, or even religion. I don't know.
Mhm.
So.
Um, I think the biggest hurdle for me, the thing that was basically blocking my 100% acceptance of myself, uh, it's probably got to be my upbringing.
Mm-hmm.
It's not exactly just one thing, but it's a lot of different factors. I think it's also because of the fact that I grew up in a Catholic family, and I was kind of like the overachiever. I was kind of like the golden child, star
Wait, are you
student.
are you are you the middle child, the youngest, or the eldest?
I'm the eldest, so
Ah, okay,
so
all right.
there's
So
there's
that puts a lot
also
of pressure. Yes,
yeah
yes, it
there's
does.
also that pressure of being the eldest child. So I had to be like a good example. I had to be like um, perfect. It wasn't exactly like people telling me that I had to be perfect, but
Mm-hmm.
more of like the expectations. Like I knew
Okay,
that I had to be this, but then again, who was telling me that I had to be this way?
right,
So
right.
when when I was having these feelings, these internal conflicts about who I am and about myself, I was like it was a struggle coming to terms with the fact that, oh, I'm not the perfect child anymore because I'm queer. So
Mm-hmm,
I can't
mm-hmm,
give my family like grandkids or whatever. And like when you're queer, kasi like there always has to be like some sort of like redeeming factor. It's
mm-hmm.
like, oh, he's queer but he's good at his job, so it's okay, we can tolerate him being
Yeah,
queer.
I hear that as well. Do you think that's that uh, I'm trying to use the right word.
Yeah,
It's not a condition. It's not an obligation, but it's like an unspoken balancing act
yeah, it is.
that you're supposed to perform. It's like, okay, I could be queer, but heck, I'm bloody rich.
Yeah,
I could
yeah.
buy you and this club. Right?
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah. So,
There always has
do
to
you
be
think
like,
it's just true for us, or it's also the same thing for, let's say, maybe people in the West?
I
What do
think
you think?
it's true for every queer person because like even up to now, like despite the world being much more accepting and tolerant of us,
Hmm.
um it's still like illegal in other countries, so it's still very much a bad thing
Yeah,
for
heck, we don't have
people.
marriage equality in the country, so what's going on?
Exactly.
Na huli na
Exactly.
naman tayo uli. We're like, lagging behind.
Time is ticking. Come on, guys, we gotta keep up with the times.
Yeah, true, true. We're not woke enough.
Our government certainly isn't.
Oh God, no.
Yeah,
Hell no.
no. And so yeah, I think if and when, and I hope the time does come that people don't treat uh like queer love as a bad thing, maybe then
Hmm.
we can stop with this whole balancing act.
Yeah, we can. I agree that when that day comes, you'll let our hair hang down, and it'll be just normal. It will be just part of the conversation. Oh, where did you go over the weekend? Oh, me and my husband, you know, went up north because we couldn't stand the heat in the city and stuff like that.
Mm,
Or this girl says, oh, I just went abroad with my wife and we got married there, and then we're back here. So it
yeah.
that would be great to be in that space and to be in that time where things like that are just part of everyday normal conversation, and people wouldn't bat an eyelash regarding who you love, when you want to love, and what you want to wear when you go outside.
Yeah. Yeah,
Right?
yun pa lang eh, 'di
Diba?
ba?
That's the one
So
thing
many rules.
I found so refreshing back in the day, back in the 90s when I first went to New York. It's like here in Manila, you'll always be um, conscious about what you wear. Does my shirt match the pair of pants that I have, and will it complement the shoes and all that? But in the States, no, people don't give a rat's ass about what you wear, especially in New York. It's like people are so
I mean,
busy, they're so focused on their own, tunnel vision to a point with their own lives that they don't care what you do with your own
yeah.
life or what you wear for that matter.
Yeah.
So I hope that and I was not expecting to get that when I went there. And how I wish that, upon coming back, it's like it would be like this here. But sad to say, no.
Well,
Sad to say, we have a lot of marites in our community. But
we
sana,
do.
let's reduce that because it's not going to do anyone any favors if ever
True.
you are, right? Would you have any, let's say, advice for those who are still on their journey to finding themselves?
Um, I think what I can say is there's no deadline to it to coming out,
Hmm.
or like, to anything actually. It's your journey. It's it's your path to take.
Okay.
It's your burden. So only you get to say when you can unburden yourself, or whether or not you want to burden yourself with it. Period. It's you know the moment you stop caring about what other people think, I think that really unlocks something in you. It unlocks this kind of like confidence, this kind of ownership with your destiny or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, it's just mind your own damn business.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the long and short of it.
Yes, A to the M to the E to the N.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, the great thing about this community is that they're always there. People are always there in this community, and they sort of become your family, if in case you are ever in need of one. And as a creative, we all get strength from where we can. I was wondering, how about you on those days when you don't feel like work on your stories, like natamad ako, like I'm sleepy, I don't have enough coffee in my system. What's going on? Wala akong pambili ng kape. Heck,
Yeah.
where do you get strength and motivation from?
I think, well, first of all, money. Money motivates me.
Yeah, that's for sure. Whether
Let's
you're
be
gay,
real
straight,
here.
lesbian, or whatever, money will always
Yeah.
be the biggest motivating
Yeah.
factor.
Yeah,
And
money
if you
can
say
buy happiness.
otherwise, pasin kita ng isang malaking rim ng 1,000
Oh
pesos.
my god, please. Yeah, well, apart from that, I think, well, my partner and my family has always been very supportive of me, and whenever I feel like I'm burnt out, or
Hmm.
the like, they're always there to like cheer me up. And we would go out, we'd go on dates, and we would just go out of town. It's I'm pretty lucky to have such such a support group.
Supportive system. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
support system behind
That's
me.
right. That's right.
Yeah, I'm
I
very
was
grateful.
wondering, were movies also a way of inspiring you to draw or write if you don't feel like it? I mean,
Oh.
if they're not there, it's like everyone's so busy. It's like, where's my support system?
Yeah,
Why not
well,
movies?
mm-mm. When my support systems are busy with their own respective jobs, like, yeah, of course I always turn to movies and TV shows and music. I'm very big uh geek when it comes to those things. So I like to think of myself as a pop culture geek.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
Great, great. Any particular genre of films that would serve as like a trigger for you to write or draw?
rom-coms for sure. I'm a big
Okay,
fan of
rom-coms. All right.
rom-coms. Yeah. So movies like 10 Things I Hate About You, or like the classic 90s Julia Roberts rom-coms,
Oh,
you
you
know,
can never go wrong with Julia
can never
Roberts.
go
It's like,
wrong. And
she's like,
those are, yeah, those are timeless.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
yeah, I actually have the same birthday as Julia Roberts. So,
Oh,
yeah, I kind of think of her as like my
your
soul
muse.
sister or
Your
something
soul,
like that.
soul sister, muse, godmother,
Yeah,
everything. The works.
yeah,
The
mother.
works.
She's
Yeah.
mother.
And here I was going to ask you if you like watching horror movies growing
I
up.
I do.
And then you
Wait,
said rom-coms. Like, okay, do I have to change the question now?
well, no, like horror. I think was a recent development for me. I didn't
Hmm.
really like horror growing up, but I think it started when my like fascination for horror movies started when I watched I don't know if you've seen it, the movie Insidious.
Yes,
I
I
think it
love that.
was,
There's a new one
yeah,
coming out.
there is a new one coming
I
out, and
was
it's
like,
directed
yes.
by Patrick Wilson, if I'm
Yeah, yeah,
correct.
yeah. It's Patrick Wilson.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So yeah, I think before that point I was like such a scaredy cat. Like I would avoid horror movies at all costs. But when I had a sleepover with my friends and that was the movie that we watched, I think I got so scared to the point that I didn't get scared anymore.
yeah.
If that makes sense. Like
Yeah, in a
that
way it
was like the
does.
tipping point. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
It's like,
yeah,
okay, bring it on. I can take on whatever film you throw at me.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Me on the other hand, I've always liked horror from day one. I was always Mr. Horror growing up.
Uh-huh.
So my family and friends couldn't really understand what is your fascination with, with the horror, from vampires to classic, movie monsters to anything that goes, bump in the night. That's always me. To a point where this I'm sharing this memory out there, and
Yeah.
this kind of like just popped in. I was so sure of myself that I will never get scared watching a horror film. So I said back in the day, I shall scare myself shitless or try to scare myself shitless by
Hmm.
watching Pet Cemetery, the Stephen King
Yeah.
film, beginning at 12 midnight. So I had no idea what the film is all about. All I know is that what the title suggests, Pet Cemetery. So it's like a
Yeah.
cemetery for pets.
For
That's
pets.
all.
Yeah.
And
You watched it
so
by yourself?
I watched it by myself.
Uh-huh.
Everyone in the house was already sleeping. Of course, it was midnight, and I figured, okay,
Mhm.
here goes the dare. And if
Mhm.
I live through the film, of course, it's only a film. Uh, you will definitely be proud of yourself for doing that. And then
Yeah.
up to a point where a certain character just surprisingly shows up and scares the bejesus out of me. I had to shut the TV off and because I jumped from my chair with
Is it, was
matching.
it the wife?
No, not the wife. It was
The cat?
no, not the cat. He just came out from uh damn it. It's that athlete who got run off by the road. Pascal.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm.
Pascal just pooped up.
Jump scare.
Not pooped. Yeah, it's not even jump scare. He just, he was actually, oh god, I don't want to go into spoilers, but I just want to say that, when that character shows up when I least expected it, that just that was just for me. It's like
That was
with
it for
matching
you.
Mura and expletives and all that. Of course, I had to take a breather and like, okay, 1 or 2 minutes, go to the kitchen, grab a drink of water, and then
Uh-huh.
finish the film. Still, I still
Uh,
managed to finish the film,
but you
but that
persisted. That's
yes, but
important.
that's
That's the important
still
part.
the one thing that
uh,
made me realize na okay, I still get scared, and hindi pa
mm,
pala ako manhid sa mga horror films, and that's why I love jump scares, and especially if I got to see a film and I'm with that particular film and watching it again, and watching the
the
reaction of
reactions,
people who
yeah.
have not seen it and are amazed at for the very first time. It's like serves you right, but
Yeah. Yeah,
but would you
there's a certain high,
yeah,
watching.
there is, and
Yeah.
and not only that, but if you're watching a horror film and you both, I mean, all of you are watching it for the first time, and especially the ones that you are with are the ones who who either squeak, who either curse, or will just jump up even before the audience does. That is the best kind of footage that you would
Yeah.
want to have on your phone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Takutin ka pala, gulatin ka pala.
Yeah, that's me and my family because we always we have these like movie nights and we watch horror movies together. Even if like my titas are like kind of like scaredy cats, there's this like exhilaration that comes from
True.
like screaming together and
Right.
like being
It's
scared by
that
the
fight
same
or flight
thing.
response,
Yeah,
coming into
yeah,
play. Yeah.
yeah.
Would you have a top three favorite horror films, just in case?
Mm, top three horror films. I think, can it be series? Because I'm also like
Oh
really
yeah,
into
yeah,
like,
yeah. Definitely. It also can be series.
okay. I think my top one has to be uh The Haunting of Hill House on
Yes,
Netflix.
yes,
That's like
yes,
my that's
yes.
like my all-time favorite horror movie. Actually, I think it's my all-time favorite horror show. So,
I prefer Hill House than Bly Manor actually.
well, yeah, because Blind Manor is kind of like a gothic romance more than a horror
Yeah, than horror
show.
exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah, and it's I don't know. The writing is a little bit different, and so
it
there's a
is.
little. It's slow to build up.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, but with the last part of Blind Manor, I was like bawling like my eyes out. It
Yeah,
was
yeah, yeah.
so fucking. Oops, sorry. I just
That's
cursed
okay. That's
my
okay.
loud.
You know,
Can you
you know what?
censor it?
I don't say that you're not supposed to cuss on the podcast, but it's okay. We're all grown ups here. So
Right,
yeah,
okay. Okay, yeah, it's so freaking sad and like I don't know, it's
I
a bittersweet
know.
ending, but Hill House still
I was
really
crying at the end of Hill House.
same.
That's another one.
I
Yeah.
was crying like in every episode.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's that
Oh
kind of
god.
show.
I
Yeah,
know. It's a roller coaster kind of a show
it
that,
is.
you'll smile at one point, you'll be scared, cringing, and then, you'll be crying. So
Yeah,
if you have not seen that show
you
yet,
should.
please do yourself a favor and,
Mhm.
go watch it. All right, so that's number one for you.
Number
Two
one,
more.
I think number two has to be Hereditary.
Ah,
Yeah,
yes,
the
yes, yes, yes,
A24 film with Tony Collette. Yeah.
yes, and that little dollhouse.
Yeah, the little dollhouse. Yeah. Um I think it's just I have this thing for like, culty kind of like folk horror kind
Mm-hmm,
of
mm-hmm.
thing. Not really like demonic stuff, but although there
Right.
are like demons in it too. But and there's just something about Toni Collette, man. She's a force of nature. Like I'm so
She
sad that
is.
she
She
didn't
is.
get nominated for an Oscar for her performance because she really gave it her all.
Yeah. Although she was nominated for Sixth Sense,
She
um,
was. That was
but
also a really good movie.
yeah, that's another one.
Hmm.
Since you said you liked folksy kind of, there is one film that I have not seen. I kept putting it off because some other things would get my attention. Summer something,
Midsummer.
Midsummer. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
haven't seen that one yet.
It's
And
yeah.
is it good?
It's good, but I don't think it's for everyone.
Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of gory and
Oh,
yeah, it it's
okay.
it's horror that's closer to like I don't know Saw or like Hostel,
Oh,
with
okay, okay. Oh,
but
those
with
are things that
better
I'm
writing.
not. Those are that kind of things that I'm not exactly too keen on. I mean, I like atmospheric horror than in
Yeah,
your face, gore and stuff. Which is also one of the reasons why I probably would not watch Saw, because that's not horror for me. That's
yeah, it's
gore.
it's gore, it's gore. It's a different genre altogether. But Midsummer is like more of like psychological also, which I
Mm,
really love because
okay.
yeah, it also there's also an aspect of like mental health to it, and it's a breakup movie. That's all I'm gonna say.
Okay, okay. It's a breakup movie. Yeah,
Yeah, it's a breakup
that's one
movie.
of the reviews
Yeah.
I also saw, but I
Eh,
didn't follow up on the spoilerish parts of the review. So I was like, okay, I want to give myself a chance to at least try and watch
yeah.
it. Yeah. Okay.
It's very
Would that be
cathartic.
number three for you? Would Midsummer be number three, or something
Um,
else would be for
I
you?
think number three would have to be um I want to say Insidious, but the third act of the first movie kind of like went wank. So
Ah, okay.
um I think I'm gonna go with Conjuring, the first one.
Oh yeah, the first one is great. The first one was great.
Or actually,
Clap, clap. Anyone?
yeah, I think it's a tie between Conjuring and Drag Me to Hell.
Oh,
Because
okay. I
I
haven't
just
seen that one yet. I
that
haven't
that
seen
one
Drag Me to Hell yet.
that one's also kind of gory, but in a campy way. Because it's Sam Raimi, and
Yeah.
but he has this like certain like directing style, like the kind of goofy camera movements and
Yeah,
whatnot.
that's
It's
right. You
Yeah.
probably like Evil Dead if ever you like how Sam Raimi does
The
stuff.
the older ones,
Yeah,
yeah, but the newer ones are kind of like too gory for my I,
yeah.
I, I
I didn't like the remake either. So like I just
yeah,
saw the trailer in the remake wherein the demon was slicing her tongue
the
with a
tongue,
knife. It's
yeah,
like
her tongue.
okay, that's like
I,
that's too much for me. So okay,
yeah,
okay.
I would faint. Like I heard it's really good. Even the newer one, the Evil
Evil
Dead
Dead
Rise.
Rise.
Yeah, I
Yeah, yeah.
really want to watch that one, but like I'm kind of psyching myself up for all the gore and
The
blood that
gory
I'm
stuff.
gonna see.
But
Yeah.
having seen gone through all 7 seasons of Game of Thrones, should we not
Right.
be sanitized with gore?
Right.
Dapat
You
sanay
have
na tayo ah.
sorry. Okay, you have a point. Oo nga. Maybe it is time to watch the Evil Dead remake.
Or watch Game of Thrones first. Fast forward to
Mm,
the gory scenes, and then
yeah,
watch Evil Dead. I don't
yeah.
know.
I'm sure there's a YouTube compilation of all the
Oh, that's for
gory
sure. That's
deaths.
for sure.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
still watch up to this day the reactions to the Red Wedding. That still gets me. So
Yeah. That was a gag. Like
yeah,
truly.
I know, I know. Oh
Mhm.
boy. But any word of advice this time around for aspiring or fellow creatives?
um I think just all I can say is just keep creating. Like um if your purpose of like creating is to get like serialized or to get your work adapted, then just keep persisting. Or like if you're just doing it for uh the sake of creativity or for the sake of like expressing yourself, or like if it's really what you love doing, then just keep doing it. Because if you keep doing it, then you're gonna get practice, and your work's just gonna keep getting better and better. And like um it'll really how do you say this, like hone your craft if you keep at it. And I think it also helps to have like you know uh a sounding board, talk
Mm-hmm.
to people, talk to fellow creatives. And like it's fun to like workshop each other's like works, and see like different perspectives, because I think that really helps you write better, or like draw better, or like do what you do better. So yeah, that's
Good advice. This time around, maybe advice for those who are still in the process of coming out and finding the courage to be true to themselves.
hmm. um I think you should take your time, and you should go out and explore what you like or don't like. And don't put that pressure on yourself to uh come out when you don't feel like it, because you'll regret it. And you know um yeah, just focus on your journey.
Hmm.
And when you focus on your journey, everything will eventually fall into place. So yeah.
Right. And people should also realize, and not just for those who are going through something, but also for people who know that someone is going through something. It is a process with a
It is a
capital
process.
P. So you don't go from A to B in a snap of a finger. There are there are conditions that you need to fulfill
That's
before
true.
getting from A to B.
That's
So
true.
midpoints and endpoints in order to get there. So
Yeah.
it cannot be rushed. It has to be, on your own time. And
Yeah.
what is next on the horizon for you? Anything new coming up? New collaborations, perhaps?
Uh,
I know that the full compilation of on Jowa Kong Crosswise in print is supposed to be out already in June, right?
it is. The omnibus,
Yeah, the omnibus. There you go.
yeah, yeah, volume 1 and 2 together will be released on June 2 at the
Okay.
Philippine Book Festival, at I think it's at the World Trade Center.
Oh yeah, right, right. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Oh, just in time
yeah.
for
Just in time for
for
Pride
Pride
Month.
Month. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. We
Awesome.
really wanted it to be released on Pride Month because gay.
Yeah,
And
that's right.
yeah, yeah. And other than that, I will also be at Comic at Pride
Mm-hmm.
on June 16 to 18 at Ayala on the 30th in
Yeah, Ayala
Pasig
on the
City.
30th. That's right. That's right.
So I will be there along with a bunch of other queer creators and artists, and we will be selling merch, selling comics, stickers, prints. So yeah, hope to see you there. Hope to see you there, CJ.
Yeah, well, actually, I wish I would be there, but I need to be out of town on that particular week. So
uh,
it's like,
uh,
shucks. But you know, I
right.
mean, Comic Cat Pride is always there, every June. So
Yeah,
I
there's
will try
always
not
a
to miss that.
there's a comic at
Um,
every month, I think.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, if not
Yeah,
in Manila, there's also in the province.
Iloilo. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. For those who want to know more about you and your work as well, where can they find you on social media?
You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Tsambolero. That's Tsambolero. Okay. Did I get it
Right.
right? Yeah,
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 yeah, yeah. Yeah, you
yeah.
got it right.
I'm just,
Yeah,
just wasn't sure about my spelling
perfect for
skills.
spelling. You
Yeah,
passed the quiz.
yeah,
So yeah, so that's it. Chambolero on all on those formats.
yeah. And you can
Facebook.
also read my comic pala on PenLab, on the PenLab app and the PenLab website. The website is penlab.inc, and you can just search ang Jowa Kong Crosswise and it's gonna be there. And you can also download the PenLab app. You
Mm-hmm.
can also read like a lot of
Is there on
different,
my is there
yeah,
on my phone? So
yeah.
that's where
You
I get to read
you can
it.
read a lot of different Filipino creators there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. That's right. So again, the omnibus comes out on June 2,
Mm-hmm.
and that's collecting volume 1 and 2.
Yep.
Would that be is that on hardcover or
It's
also
it's a paperback, I think,
okay? Still,
but
it's still a
it's
good.
a really thick book, like 200 pages,
Oh yeah.
and it's in full color. So
Yay. All right.
yeah,
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much, Shambi, again for joining us today. I
thank
had a
you.
great time.
So did I.
That is a wrap for today. Thank you for being here today, and also thank you to Spine Books for your support since day one. Now, if in case you are a creative and you would like to be featured in the podcast, simply just email us. That is at urbanfantasyph@gmail.com. You can follow the show on Instagram and Facebook, and me as well over at cjedmunds.com. And if you are watching us on YouTube, of course, if you want to subscribe, feel free to do that. We would love to. Just hit the bell so that you do not miss a thing. And of course, subscribe as well. Until the next episode, in the Authors Unite, gay creatives, be steadfast and be true to your vision. Keep creating, and we will keep reading. Stay safe and stay creative. Namaste. Blessed be. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye. That was another episode of Urban Fantasy PH. Join us next time as we feature another creative soul who wants their art to be seen, heard, and shared. If you have your own work to share, just email us at urbanfantasyph@gmail.com. Till the next episode, this is independent author, singer-songwriter, radio personality, voice actor, and fellow creative, CJ Edmunds, reminding you to always listen to your heart, create with your mind, and share with your soul. Goodbye, everybody. Namaste. Blessed be.